Oh man, it's Tuesday. You know what's up. Welcome to another edition of the 2-2 Podcast. I'm so glad you could join me today. Listen, today you don't want to miss a moment of this. This is something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and I've talked about it in bits and pieces. And believe me, to be able to do the full-length edition of what I'm talking about today is going to be really, really fun. We're talking about moving in silence today on the 2-2 Podcast, and I don't want you to miss a minute of it. So with that being said, you know the move. Get your friends, get your family, get your notebook, get everybody that you need. We're about to go to work. See you in a minute. Have you ever wanted to record a podcast but didn't know the way? Well, I've got good news. Let me tell you about something. It's called Anchor. And Anchor is the easiest way to record a podcast. Let me explain. It's absolutely free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So here's what I need you to do. Please download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. One of the biggest issues I've had throughout life was not just making announcements about the things I was in the process of doing or what I was going to do. And allow me to add something to that. Another issue that I had was making announcements that I wasn't even going to do in the first place. And a lot of times when you are addicted to being connected to somebody, you have this fascination and this lust for wanting to be accepted by people. Doesn't matter who the person is. They could be a person whose character isn't the greatest, but because they seem cool to us, we want to be accepted by them when we are dealing with our own low self-esteem issues. But one of the biggest issues I had was not only that, but casting vision to the wrong ears and allowing their doubt and unbelief to derail the plans I had. I think we've all been a victim of that. And, when you've dealt with acceptance issues in your life, the act of moving in silence can be a hard move to make. And it's one thing to hear. We get excited about the things that we hear, but sometimes the things that we hear we don't apply to our lives. We don't. Getting rid of toxic people. We can hear that all we want from somebody else, but there's a practice and there's an act and there's a bit of intentionality within making that move. It's good to hear, but it's hard to do. Easy to hear, but hard to make that move. We have to understand that just like growing and maturing and healing and forgiveness, it takes time to learn how to value silence. It takes time to value not talking and allowing your moves to make the most noise. I love making under the radar moves. I love doing that simply because it allows me to focus. It allows me to continue to be fired up and driven to make everything that I've prayed and spoken to existence to come to pass. Whatever I have to do, it allows me to work harder each and every day to make sure that happens. But, it's easier said than done to do certain things like this. And I want to ask a question. There's no definition today. Nothing. We're not defining a term. But I do want to ask a question if I would. How do you move in silence when you're accustomed to making announcements about even the smallest of victories? We make announcements about the smallest victories, and that's great. And I do that. I especially when it comes to what I'm doing with the Tutu podcast and Tuesday Night Live and some of the initiatives that I'm a part of, I like making those announcements after they're done or after I've hit a milestone. It's one thing to make the announcement when you're at 99. It's easy to make that announcement. Or 75%, but it's another thing to be like, I hit this milestone, I'm at 100%. You've made the announcement right then and there. It's another thing. There's a joy, there's a freedom, there's a bit of exuberance, there's a bit of happiness when you make an announcement when it's come to full fruition. But how do you do it when you're accustomed to making announcements about the smallest victories, or when you're at the halfway point? Because you have to understand that with every announcement about something that you're doing, there's going to be opposition. That particular quote is not in my notes. That is not in what I wrote today. But I want you to understand something before we go any further, is that with any announcement, there's going to be opposition. With any move that you make, there's going to be opposition. And you have to prepare yourself mentally for that opposition. You have to be prepared to fully fight and completely be strong in your intentions of making sure that what you are doing becomes true. You have to be steadfast in prayer. You have to be steadfast in intentionality. You have to be steadfast in your efforts to make those things that you're doing come to pass. You have to be intentional. And you've heard me, I've done an episode about being intentional, making moves and meaning it. And I encourage you to listen to that episode, because these two episodes kind of coincide with one another. And I need you to understand that there's an intentionality with moving in silence. That's one thing I need you to know. There's intentionality in moving in silence. And that with every announcement, there's opposition. Somebody's going to hate on it. And that leads me to my first point. What you must realize is that everyone around you can't handle your dreams. Think about the story of Joseph. Joseph was a dreamer who had people around him who could not handle the fact that he was a dreamer. They could not handle it. They did not understand. And they hated him for it. They hated him for the dreamer that he was. And sometimes when we make announcements, not only just to our friends, but to our family members, we open ourselves up for opposition. We open ourselves up, and we end up being vulnerable to everything that people say. Every little thing that a person says about it that is against. They'll say something against it because they do not believe. And they'll tell you all the things that it's going to take, and you don't have this, and they'll let you know what you don't have, but they will not let you know what you need to get. They'll let you know what you don't have. You don't have the money. You don't have the facilities. You don't have this. You don't know this person. You don't know this person. You don't know this person. You don't have the education. You don't have the background. You don't have this, and this. They will let you know what you don't have, but they won't let you know how to obtain it. They won't let you know how to obtain what you're lacking. People who oppose vision and dreams that you announce are quick to let you know what you're deficient in. Because, and here's the reason why, and this is what I believe. This is not always the case, but I believe this is true. that a lot of times people will do that because they had a dream or they had a vision and they failed, and because they failed, and they get around another person that's a dreamer, and that person that's a dreamer, and we'll put you in here, and we'll put me in here, we'll put the dreamers in here, and you got people that they dreamed and failed, and they get around you, and you tell them something that you want to do, and they'll tell you what you lack in. They'll tell you. That's just what it is. You have to protect. You have to protect your vision and your dreams. You have to protect your moves. You have to. Everyone can't handle your dreams. There's a quote that I have here. So it says, "Move in silence, so when they see you, they're wondering where, when, and how you're making it." And you have to remember that your blessing isn't for everybody. You have to remember that. And let's draw back to Joseph. Let's draw back to him, because he was a dreamer, and his brothers hated the fact that he was a dreamer. Hated it. And so they devised a plan to have him captured by Egyptians. They threw him in a pit. And they took his coat, because he had a coat of many colors. They took his coat and they smeared blood on it. And they went back to his father and told him, they went back to their father and told their father that Joseph had been killed by a wild animal. They know what they did, and there are people in your life that will kill the dreamer in you. There are people in your life that will kill the vision in you. They will do everything they can to derail the vision in you. There's a story one time, and this is no shade to a friend. This is no shade. I mean that with all of my heart, but I want to use this as an example. There was one time I was telling a friend of mine about something I wanted to do. I wanted to do this, and this. I wanted to do these things. And I will forever remember this. And at the time, I wasn't as strong as I am now, so I completely took it to heart. And I wanted to make, t-shirts about it, and this, that, and the third. And I wanted to do so many things out of spite and out of anger for hearing this from a close friend. They told me that it was unrealistic. They told me that it was unrealistic. And I'm not completely driven by my haters. I'm not driven by that. I'm driven by I'm driven by doing what back in the day I didn't believe I could do. I'm driven by that. All the times I told myself I wouldn't do it. Not about what other people say, because sometimes our biggest haters can be ourselves. Especially when we play back everything anybody else has said about us and what we're not going to do. Our biggest haters can be ourselves. And we have to understand that everybody and everyone can't handle your dreams. And everybody can't handle your announcements. Everybody can't handle your vision. Some people are going to think what you're going to do, what you're doing is unrealistic. Or what you're attempting to do is unrealistic. And if I would have allowed myself to believe that what I'm doing now was unrealistic then, I would never have gotten where I am now. I would never have had the success that I'm having now with this podcast and with everything that I'm doing and what I plan to do later on. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine a couple days ago ahead of talking about this, and They were talking about being a silent person. They don't talk very much. They don't talk about what they're doing. And I said, quiet and private people. Actually, she would talk about being a private person. And I said that private people have the ability to make 1% feel like 100%. I'll say that again. Private people have the ability to make 1% feel like 100%. Just because I give you the 1% of something doesn't mean I can make that 1% sound like it's great. I'm only giving you 1% of what I've done or what I'm doing. And if they think that's all that I'm doing, you got another thing coming. We have the ability to make 1% 100%. And a lot of my friendships and relationships failed because I'm a very private person. I'm private. I don't like to talk very much. I talk, and that's one thing, but that's because I'm an ambivert. And this is unrelated. I'm an ambivert, so I'm both introverted and extroverted. Yeah, I like to talk to people. I like people, but there's a lot of times where I don't like to be around people. Or there are a lot of times where I just go in, I'm not going to say shutdown mode, but I go in grind mode where I don't want to talk to anybody and whatnot. And it's hard to explain that to a person when you are focused on something that it's unintentionally intentional. Like it's nothing that they did wrong. It's just like I got something I got to do. I got something I got to focus on, and not that they are a distraction, but like sometimes I just need to shut out and shut down and get the work done. I'll come back to him. I'll come back to that person, but for the moment, I can't allow people to put their fingers in their opinions on what I'm trying to accomplish. Number 2, too much noise can be distracting. Sometimes when we hear a lot of noise, we can be distracted. But one of my favorite verses in the Bible is Nehemiah 2:2, and Nehemiah was in and it's I'm saying not Nehemiah 2:2. I'm sorry. Well, it's in Nehemiah. I'm sorry. I apologize. I got Habakkuk 2:2 and Nehemiah mixed up. My bad. But it is in Nehemiah. And it says, I'm doing a great work and I can't come down. You've heard me say this before. And if you read the story, Nehemiah's building a wall that had been destroyed. And there were a couple people that, they were chattering, running their mouth. They didn't like what he was doing. They didn't want to see him doing the right thing. They didn't want to see him prosper. And so they would say little things to get him to become distracted. They would say little things to get him to come off the wall, and it was to do him. And if he would have came off that wall, that would have spelled his doom. That would have spelled his demise. The work wouldn't have gotten done. And in so many cases in our lives, we have so many things that are distracting to us when we are working. The noise of other people can be distracting, especially when we told everybody what we're trying to do. The noise can be distracting. And we have to eliminate the noise. We have to say, I got something I'm trying to do. I know I got opposition. I know people aren't going to like it. I know people aren't going to be happy because I didn't tell them anything. Why didn't you tell me anything? Why didn't you tell me you were doing this? Wasn't I supposed to know about this? No. See, too much noise and too many words, opposing words, can be distracting if you're not strong enough to decipher those who are being constructive about what they're constructive about their saying, or destructive about what they're saying. It can be distracting if you can't decipher those things. Number 3, other people's validation doesn't dictate your moves. You cannot be swayed by other people's validation. Simple as that. You can't be swayed by what other people think. Why do we always seek other people's validation? Why do we have to be accepted by other people about the moves we make? Acceptance is a hard thing to true acceptance is a hard thing to get. Especially when you don't understand what acceptance really is. Or you don't understand when what true celebration of what somebody else is doing. I've gotten into the habit of celebrating my friends' moves. The ones that they don't make, and they make the announcements later. I've gotten to the habit of celebrating. There are a lot of people that won't celebrate it. You can't get everybody to celebrate. True validity is a hard thing to get. True validation is a hard thing to come by anymore. Because you can't decipher whether it's pure or it's tainted. You can't decipher that anymore because everybody says the same thing anymore. I'm so proud of you. Are you? You got to be able to decipher when people are truly proud of you or when they're just saying it to make you feel good. But you can't allow yourself to be validated by other people's opinion. You can't allow the validation of other people to sway you left or right. But here are some reasons why we should, why you should move in silence. There's a necessity in moving in silence. It's necessary. It's vital to the growth and the progression of your dreams and your focus and your vision. There's, without a doubt, a necessity. Number 2, there's protection. It protects the dream. It protects the vision. It protects your hopes. It protects all that you want to do. There's protection. There's a growth mentality. I'm trying to grow in this. Because if I don't learn how to stay silent and stay quiet, I'll never grow from trying to get validation from other people. I won't grow from that. There's a maturity in it as well. You got to be mature to move in silence. You got to be mature. There's a maturity. There's a level of maturity within that. And there's another reason is a focus. Focus is another major key. It allows you to be focused on the tasks at hand. It allows you to be focused on the task or tasks at hand. Necessity, protection, growth, maturity, and focus are the reasons why you should. It's necessary. It's protective. It's growth mentality. It's a sense of it's a level of maturity, and it's a level of focus that you gain. All right, we're moving along. Hope you're still with me. So, as we get a little closer to the end of this show, we're making record time today. Hope all is well. Just a little pause just for a second. Hope all is well with you. Hope you're doing well. Let me know on Instagram how you're doing mentally, how you're doing physically. How are you doing today? Let's do a wellness check today. And if you want to chime in and let me know how that is, please follow me. And please send me a DM on AlexJ_live. That is AlexJ_live. I'm going to put a post up, a little wellness check for people to check in and let people know how you feel. We're praying for those who are dealing heavily with all the things that have been going on in the past several months. Praying that God regulates God is a mind regulator and brings peace to your chaos. I just want to parenthetically pause right there just to say that, and to say that I understand we're here. I'm here for you. I'm praying for you, and I know what it feels like to be in a storm. And storms don't last forever. All right. So here are some steps towards steps on how to move in silence. These are some of the things that I feel that you should do. You should always be 2 steps ahead. Chess moves. Notice when you play chess or you watch a chess match that they always say the move after the move or during the move and as in the act of moving. They don't tell you to move before they move the piece. Oh. They don't make the move. They don't tell you about the move until they've moved the piece to its to the destination that it's supposed to go. They do not make the announcement about the move until the move has been made and it's at its destination. Where's the lesson in that? When you play chess is a cerebral game. You have to be at least 2 to 5 moves ahead of your opponent. Football is a cerebral game. You always have to be several moves ahead of of your opponent. You have to be. That's why there's game planning in there. That's why there's practice. That's why there's implementing. Sorry about that. Knocked over my mic. There's always moves. There's always planning. There's always practice. There's always implementing a game plan. You always have to be willing to be a few moves ahead of your opponent. Always be 2 steps ahead. Number 2, let success and progress make noise. Don't talk. Keep your mouth closed. Let your success do all the talking for you. Let all the moves that you're making, that you have made, make the noise for you. Let all that. Don't tell them what you're doing. See, every sports team, every sports team, basketball, football, they come in during preseason with a plan. Doesn't matter who it is, whether it's the Lakers, doesn't matter who it is. They come in with a goal in mind. And the only people that really know about that goal, unless somebody else says something about it, is the team. And the plan doesn't escape the team itself. And their success makes noise, but nobody sees what they're doing behind the scenes. Because they're not telling you everything that's behind the scenes. They're not going to tell you everything that they did in practice. They're not going to tell you everything during a press conference that they worked on. They're not going to do that. They're not going to take the time to do that. They're only going to talk about a few things and that they made progress. They're only going to talk about they made progress. And they're only going to listen. You have to understand that the progress has to make noise when it's game time. Have a couple people who you can trust with your vision. Have a couple people you can trust with your vision. Who can you tell your vision to? Who can you tell what you want to accomplish to? And they won't be resentful or vengeful or tell you that it's unrealistic. But they will take the time. They will hold you accountable. They will pray for you. They will help you write that. They will help you see that vision come to fruition. How many people have those people around you? I know I have a few people I have a few people around me that hold me accountable at all times. We may not talk all the time, but they hold me accountable. We may not talk all the time, but they pray for me, and I know they're praying for me. Have some people around you that you can trust to pray for your vision, help you nurture and cultivate that vision, and make sure that you do not come off that wall. Have a few people. Be relentless in your execution and in your Be relentless in your execution and in your intentionality. Be relentless. Don't lose your focus. Don't lose your drive. Forget what they have to say. Forget the hate. Rise above it. John Cena had a t-shirt that said, "Rise above hate." Rise above the hate. Some people like to embrace it. I like to rise above. Because people are going to say what they want to say to knock you off and fill you with doubt and despair. And you have to be relentless in your pursuit to move in silence. Move in silence and work hard at all times. I heard this next one. Pastor YPJ out of South Bend, Indiana. He was talking to John P. Key, and John P. Key said, "Let no man edit your prophecy. Let no man edit your prophecy." There are so many people that we will tell them something, and they would, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. When it comes to us, they will tell us that's not going to happen. Look at you. Look what you've done. Look at your track record. Look at your background. Look at your family's background. Look at all of this. Let no man edit your prophecy. Let no man edit your vision. Man or woman. Let nobody edit your vision for your life. And tell you, because of your background, because of your family's background, because of the generational curses that you have, you can't. Don't allow people. Break the generational curses. Do that. Break them. But don't allow people who haven't moved in their own life and that are swayed by their own failures and were afraid to move, and they're afraid to stir their water, so the water doesn't remain stagnant. Don't allow those people to edit your vision for your life. Announce when it's done. Number 6. Announce when it's done and not in the process. Announce when it's done and not in the process. You just heard me. Sorry. You just heard me recently talk about a game plan. Game planning before a game planning in the preseason to become better and to eliminate the mistakes that you made in the previous season, to become better. But you don't make those announcements during the process. Make those announcements when you're done. Talk about it when the victory is won, not while you're in the process of winning the game. Sometimes we celebrate too early. Sometimes we talk too soon. And because we talk too soon, we often fail. Because we've spoke too soon. We have to be careful of speaking too soon. 7, develop. This is my favorite thing. This has been my theme for 2020. My theme for the year was the year of you'll find out when you find out. I have you'll find out when you find out mentality. We have to develop a you'll find out when you find out mentality. When are you doing such and such? You find out when you find out. When you'll find out when you find out. But when you such and such and so, when you'll find out when you find out. When you see me in the cap and gown, when you see me getting that doctorate, when you see me getting that master's degree, when you see me getting that bachelor's degree, that master's degree, that associate's degree, when you see me getting these things, that's when you'll find out. When you see me in the house, that's when you'll find out. When you see me in the car, that's when you'll find out. When you don't see me on the bus, you see me driving down the street, that's when you'll find out. When you see me traveling and doing certain things and building schools and building community centers and doing things to help a community that needs it, that's when you'll find out. Not in the process, but you'll find out when you find out. And it's amazing how upset people get when they don't find out that you were doing this all along. They feel deceived. They feel betrayed because you didn't tell them something that you were doing. They feel betrayed. The same people that back in the day you had to that you wanted to tell them, look what I'm doing, look what I'm doing, look what I'm doing. And they shot it down. They're betrayed because you didn't tell them this time. Why? Because you didn't allow them to infect your vision. You didn't allow it. So you have to develop you'll find out when you find out mentality. And that means work, work, work. And don't ever despise the day of small beginnings. It may be scary, it may be quiet, it may be everything in between. All of that and more. But you have to value. You'll find out when you find out mentality. And then number 8, only announce when it's checkmate. You've made all the moves. It's checkmate. Boom. That final move to win. Only announce your moves when it's checkmate. We have to understand, y'all, that we can no longer announce that we're making our moves in silence. We have to go from talking to doing. Bible says, write the vision and make it plain. Write it down. Some of these things that you want to do, write them down. Write them down. And share them with yourself. And check them off. I got a checkmate list. Oh, I accomplished this. Checkmate. Oh, I did this. Checkmate. It's a checkmate list. I'm checking stuff off as I accomplish them. But I'm also constantly reminding myself of what I need to do. Not in an adverse way that's going to deter me, but in a way that reminds me to never quit, to not come off that wall. We have a obligation to make silent moves in our lives. I challenge you, as I continuously challenge myself, to make your moves in utter silence. And develop a you'll find out when you find out mentality. I promise you it'll help you out. It helped me, and it's still helping me to this day to move in silence. And with that being said, listen, so glad you could join me again today for the 2-2 podcast. Listen, y'all, I appreciate you all for all that you are, all that you continue to be for this show. And please continue to let somebody know about this show. Please let somebody know that this show is on the move, is on the rise. Working hard to make things absolutely amazing, to stay relevant and to stay, not even stay relevant, but to just talk about the things that plague us and talk about the things that we need to do each and every day. I count it an honor to do what I do. So with that being said, y'all, listen, I will see you Thursday at 1 p.m. Same time as Outwork You Thursday. You don't want to miss a minute of it. We'll see you soon. We'll see you Thursday on the 2-2 Podcast, live on Anchor, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Be blessed, y'all. See you on Thursday.